What's happening, people? Welcome to this week's episode of It's All Blakademik with your host, myself, Jordan Jarrett-Bryan. And once again, just before we get into this week's debate, another shout out to our brand spanking new website, blakademik.com. Go check it out. We have all of our videos, blogs, podcasts, and info about the team behind It's All Blakademik, all on the website. So go and check it out if you guys get some time. Okay, so this week on the show, we're going to have some fun. We're going to be talking about Blerds. Yeah, I know. I didn't know what a blerd was either until one of my producers in a production meeting mentioned this new thing to us called Blerds. So Blerds basically are black nerds. And I'll get the guys that I'm joined by now to kind of extrapolate that a little bit more. And I'm joined here by Timmy Ofan, who's the co-host of Nerd Culture Podcast, The N Council.
The Nerd Council.
The Nerd Council. There we go. Apologies. I've also got Stephanie Ajoma here from Nsega. Naysar. That's 2 out of 2. Brilliant. And I've finally got to try and get 3 out of 3 now. Game YouTuber Durrani Williams here. How are you?
I'm very well.
You good?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm very, very well. I'm looking forward to this one because, like I said, this is something that I knew absolutely nothing about. So I'm going to get an education here as well. Before we drill down Blerds and what that is, tell us a little bit about your individual platforms, first of all. So you start off by telling us a little bit about your platform.
Yeah, the Nerd Council is a podcast on an online platform. The podcast came first before everything else, but we essentially talk about gaming, movies, anime, comics, superheroes, that kind of your generic kind of geeky type comic topics even. Just something we love doing. It's something we just love having a conversation about. Just in case we didn't see enough people like us talking about it. There weren't enough black people in the kind of space talking about the things we love to talk about, so we thought might as well do it ourselves. We've been doing it for about 2 years now, growing day by day, I guess. Yeah, it's just something we love doing.
Cool. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your platform.
So I'm Stephanie, and I run a brand called Naysar. And Naysar specializes in gaming, comics, and anime, TV, and entertainment. We celebrate what it is to be a nerd. My goal, my aim is to break down the stereotypes, especially with each individual industries that I'm focusing on and tackling. And it's about kind of breaking down those stereotypes, breaking down those barriers, you know, trying to allow my voice to be in these spaces. The industry has it's a very white dominated industry, and my goal is to, you know, change the conversation to get our voices out. We cover gaming news, anime news, comic news. I also run gaming tournaments as well to allow more people like me and you to come together and play games, you know, have a safe space for women as well, black women in particular, and run screenings, so for like particular kind of movies, so Marvel, DC related movies. I actually did one with the Nerd Council last year. We did Black Panther.
Okay.
It was amazing, sold out, Odeon, amazing. And yeah, I'm literally, my kind of goal was world domination.
Love it. Nothing small there. World domination, you know. You got to beat that. Can you beat that?
I don't know if I can beat that, you know. Yeah, my name's Durrani Williams. Online, I go by Mischief as well. That is sort of my online persona, I would say, but Durrani is perfectly fine, doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm a presenter. I'm a presenter, fairly new, but it is in the gaming industry. So everything to do with gaming, whether it be the development, the events, what goes in, everything that goes into gaming, I'm trying to cover it and tell the stories of people who create these things that bring so much joy to millions of people around the world, essentially. So I'm trying to tell everyone's stories and make sure everyone who's got an event they've got good coverage of it, and just make sure everyone's story is told.
Okay, nice one. Timmy, tell us a little bit about what nerd culture is and maybe why it's not as diverse as I'm sure you think it should be.
I guess when you think of nerd culture or think of nerds in general, you think of the stereotypical glasses wearing, kind of loner in the corner, living in mom's basement type person, reads comic books and stuff. And to be honest, that is part of it, but it's just more about people who love discussing, I guess, what is the extremes of what you call pop culture. So it's comics, it's gaming, it's anime, it's superheroes, it's fantasy, it's science fiction, everything that's kind of, I guess, in the extremities of what people generally would be interested in. Yeah, like Steph said, it's very white male dominated. You don't see many people who look like us in these kind of spaces, even when, you know, content creators are creating this content for us.
Is that because there's just not there's not a high proportion of black nerds, or they're just not shown?
There are plenty, just not shown.
Okay. Okay.
Like, I don't know how to put it now. There are just tons of us. We're everywhere, but we're just not shown in the kind of spaces that we would like to be shown in. Even when you go to places like Comic-Con, it's rare that you won't find a black person in Comic-Con. They're everywhere. But when you take that as a reflection of the nerd community, everyone assumes it's just white, and that's not the truth.
So for those, I just about know what Comic-Con is, but for those who are watching that don't know what Comic-Con is, just briefly explain to us.
Comic-Con
is the Mecca, isn't it?
It's like the Mecca.
Okay,
it's like nerd Mecca. Like, it's like the
Like Glastonbury.
yeah, it's nerd Glastonbury. Yeah. It happens every year.
Glastonbury.
The one in London is the biggest one in the UK. The one in San Diego is the biggest one, I think, in the world.
Yeah.
It's just people who love being a nerd coming together, buying stuff, talking about stuff, going to panels like this.
What kind of numbers are we talking in terms of attendees, roughly?
1,000.
San Diego's at least in the close to 1 million, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
San Diego
Okay.
Comic-Con is big.
Okay.
London, I think, is up maybe in the hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
It's like
it's a big
over the
deal.
3 days, it's like big attendance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that one thing with Comic-Con, it did start off as just comics, as of course that's
Yeah,
the big
yeah,
name,
definitely.
but now it's spread out. So when you go there, you see people dressed up in your favorite gaming characters, your characters from anime as well, and it's not just comics anymore. It's everything, even TV shows.
Yeah.
So
That too.
do you guys did you guys watch the American program Entourage
No.
at all?
I
No.
saw the
Heard of it.
film.
Okay.
I didn't see the TV show. No.
I only mentioned it because there's an episode where they're at Comic-Con in that, and that was my first time of knowing what this thing was.
Right.
So that was my kind of education into that. So I was talking to Timmy about the lack of diversity within the nerd world.
Yeah.
Drill it down a little bit what that looks like for black women. You kind of referred to it earlier on,
get
but
me started.
how big an issue? No, I'm going to get you started. I'm going to wind you up and you just go.
How do I start? So, you know, with the nerd like culture and everything, you have this look, especially when it comes to women now. It's one thing having the lack of diversity with black people, but it's women, then black women. And when you look at it with all kind of industries you're into, women are very, you know, it's very, very small. And we don't have a say. We don't, you know, we can't be free. We can't, you know, be our own people. We can't, you know, have, you know, the opinions that men can have because we are women. And people feel like, especially in the gaming industry, we don't know what we're talking about. But if you actually come into a conversation with us, we'll probably know more than you.
Okay.
And especially being a black woman in the industry, I feel like it's really important, especially for me, and I feel like I have a responsibility as a woman, as a black woman, as somebody who, you know, is from the UK, but I feel like I'm representing something bigger than that because I really want to kind of, you know, be the person that's outspoken, be the person that's in the room and, you know, says what they say because this is how it is. And another thing is when people think of a woman who's a nerd, who's a gamer, they have this skinny, white, you know, petite white woman, you know, who has this kind of weird kind of aesthetic look to them, but you can just look like me. And another thing is being an attractive black woman. I feel like that's very difficult as well, especially in the nerd community, because when you look at me and then nobody thinks I'm a nerd, but because I wear makeup and because I like to dress nice, because, you know, I like to look good, but people don't really see the other side to it.
You can be glamorous and a nerd.
You know, so you can have both of it. And I feel like it's really important that there shouldn't be a label. Like even the word blurred, there shouldn't be a label. Why can't we don't even like it because it's just a thing where like I can love games, but then why do I have to be labeled that because I'm black? You know?
Did that term come from within the black nerd community, or was it placed upon black people?
Yes and no.
We're calling you guys the Blerds, or was it we call ourselves the
I mean, it's
Blerds?
very much an Americanism. It's very much something they use in the States. In the States, they love putting labels and anagrams and together and all that kind of thing for their kind of stuff. And I think it's for them, but I think for us, it's just like we're black and we're nerds.
That's it.
The two kind of go hand in hand, I guess. We exist as both at the same time, but I don't think. Personally, I think the word blurs, it just sounds corny to me. Like,
But saying that, sorry, I'll ask you to run it. Do you feel like though having a label, Blerds, has given you visibility?
It gives visibility,
in a way that maybe
but I
you
don't
wouldn't.
feel like the visibility it gives is the right sort of exposure that we need. I feel like it's sort of, I don't like having a label, and I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I've said the point already, but I don't know how to explain how I just want to be a nerd sort of. I don't want to have the black nerds. Sometimes for me, I just feel like I just want to be a nerd. I just enjoy what I enjoy, because sometimes I think, wow, I don't want to have this label. I'm trying to just be me and just be a nerd, and I want to watch my anime, I want to play my games, I want to. Yeah.
See, I find it interesting because someone that I'm not a nerd, I've never been a nerd, but the perception I've always had about nerds is that they don't want to embrace their nerd. It's almost like a tag of shame. Whereas you seem to be like, I'm a nerd and I'm owning it and I'm happy to be a nerd. I feel like that's what I want to be.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, I was like, when I was in high school, where nobody else wanted to, like, I couldn't speak to anyone about this anime, I couldn't speak to anyone about this game. Well, gaming, I could speak to like my friends who played like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But when it came to like more hardcore games where like you'd get to like PC gaming, you know what, like World of Warcraft, I feel like everyone, the game's so massive that everyone just can't be ignored. Like when I used to play stuff like that, it's like, okay, I feel a bit, I don't want to say that I play this, because when you see it in like South Park and stuff like that, like
the portrayers,
these gremlins, they're these gremlins. I'm just thinking, come on, I'm not like that. I just said the image is different, because I don't, of course, this is a gaming top, it's an esports team. Okay. Esports is a whole different realm, but you know, the glasses don't really help what I'm trying to get across here, because I'm fitting into the stereotype. But
but you don't care. I've got the impression that now you're a little bit like, I don't care. No, this is who I am, and I'm happy to be a nerd.
As I've grown up, I don't care as much. I'm my own person, and I like what I like. And some people don't even know what they like in life. And me personally, I can say that this is my hobby and this is what I love. This is my passion.
You guys the same? Are you guys happy to embrace that you are a nerd and wear as a badge of honor?
I was fortunate enough growing up. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest, and I have my younger brother and I have my younger sister. Mm-hmm. So I got into like the whole nerd stuff very, very young. Okay. And growing up in secondary school, primary school, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by people that just accepted me, accepted what I liked. And I'm a guy's girl and a tomboy, so it's a thing where it was natural for me to just interact. But then I feel like growing up now, when I, create these spaces for like Black people and women as well, and when I give my opinion out and stuff like that, they are very, very appreciative, because they didn't have that opportunity to be free as I am, because they didn't see someone they could relate to. And me creating these tournaments and stuff like that, and seeing more women and more Black people come together, and seeing like, wow, like I can actually be free, I can actually be in a safe space where I can be celebrated, because I can like what I like. Because again, going to what he said, growing up, it was a thing where it was very, boxed, but as opposed to now, they're seeing a lot more people that look like me, that look like Timmy, I look like him, and, celebrate the stuff unapologetically,
So on that, Timmy, do you as Black nerds, I won't call you Blerds again, touch the nerve there clearly, do you feel like there is racism in nerd culture?
Disgusting racism, like it's...
Go on.
From the people that work behind the scenes creating content to the people that, play the content or read the content, it can be disheartening at times, to be honest, because at the end of the day, we all love the same thing, but you've chosen to separate us or put us to one side, or even gatekeep us because of our race or because of a certain character. It's things like, when a certain character is introduced, like, for example, Miles Morales is the Black Spider-Man, as everyone knows him as. When he was first introduced, there was a big hullabaloo about, why is Spider-Man Black? Spider-Man can never be Black. This and the other, this racist comment, that racist comment, and it's just like, why can't we have those characters too? Why is it only a white male that must be appreciated type thing? Like, we love, like you said, we love the same things. Why must you now degrade us because you want to kind of keep everything to yourself?
So I'm gonna fess up here. So when Black Panther was first announced that it was in the making, I remember about a year before it came out. I got really excited, but as someone that knows I've never seen any Marvel film, I know nothing about Marvel films. It's literally, you'd be shocked how little I know about it. So my first thing when I first heard about it was, I thought it was a film about the Black Panther movement. I did, and for like 6 months, I remember talking to my mum about it, and even my mum knew more about it than me, and we were talking, I was like, we're talking about the same thing here, and she was like, no, it's a Marvel thing. I was like, oh no, I thought it was a movement back in the day. But how much did So tell me a little bit about Black Panther, and would that be considered something within the nerd culture world? Because it's Marvel and...
Yeah.
I think he was one of the first.
He was one of the first
prominent black superheroes that
Okay.
created by Marvel.
Yeah, they created him around the same time the Black Panther movement actually started. So he was actually drawn from that.
So he wasn't all the way wrong.
Okay, so I wasn't an idiot. All right.
So like they drew inspiration from the Black Panther movement to create the Black Panther superhero. Like I said, one of the most prominent black characters there is. One of the wealthiest. The wealthiest character in, I guess, the entire black nerd community. Like.
So we saw commercially and I suppose culturally for black people what that film did, but what did that film do within the kind of gaming and the nerd world?
I don't think it done so much for gaming. I feel like just seeing a black figure on the screen
in pop culture,
and he's not just he's a black man in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's someone lesser. He is part of the A team, and as I said, he's one of the most wealthiest. Is the wealthiest in the universe, because it does touch on, you know, going back to people coming to Africa and stuff like that, and coming to mine the strongest materials. But what they've done in their world, they've like locked off there. Like no one's coming in. There's a massive force field around it. But they're touching on real life, but it's also fictional. But it's a good representation. It's something good to look up to, because boy, when I'm only 24 now, but growing up, there wasn't many people that looked like me on TV screens in such a high position of power within there. It was
necessary. Like I think for me it was a response from younger people than as opposed to us. Yes, we appreciated it because, you know, it's Black Panther, we loved him as a character, but I think for me, it's little kids seeing, you know, dressing up as, you know, Black Panther, dressing up as, you know, one of the characters from the film, talking about it, seeing posters on the screen, posters on the street and stuff, and being like, oh, that looks like me, you know, that type of thing. And I think it was just the impact of having him in his own solo film as well that just made it such a big deal. It wasn't just a case of like he was a side character type of thing. They gave him the platform he needed. They gave him, you know, I guess the respect he needed as well as a character who was black, as opposed to just fitting him to the side.
And it did numbers, you know.
It did numbers.
People think that when you have a black character as the main, it's not going to do numbers. It was literally one of the biggest Marvel movies ever. You know, it kind of shut down all the questions, all the doubts, and everything like that. And seeing somebody that I used to read on the big screen is inspirational, you know.
So what, a year or so on from Black Panther, what's been the blowback? That was an amazing moment in, you know, in cinema and in Marvel. Was it a one-off? Was it a peak? What's been the follow-up to that?
They allowed, like, okay, I mean, she's not black, but, you know, they had Captain Marvel, who, you know, is a female-led superhero who's ridiculously strong, you know, and there was a lot of backlash because, you know, a lot of people, especially the men, didn't think that it was going to do such well. It wasn't going to do really well as a film. It broke numbers again, and that is again breaking the stereotypes, thinking that strong female leads can't, you know, do the numbers, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah.
So talk to me about PewDiePie and what your thoughts on white game tubers.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
I'm so happy you directed that towards me. You know what? Because you know what it is? I feel like, okay, so PewDiePie is one of like the biggest YouTube gamers.
Okay.
He's massive. He's gone to do so many things. And do you know what? Credit where credit is due, because he's built quite an empire for himself.
Before you can finish your answer, again, for people that don't know what a game tuber is, just briefly explain what a game tuber is.
So it's someone who, like, their whole platform, their videos are based around gaming content. It could be like a commentary over, like, as they're playing.
Okay.
It could be, come on guys, help me out here.
It can be reviews.
No, but it's so reviews and stuff. It varies. It's so broad.
Basically, their YouTube content is about gaming.
It's like YouTubers who do beauty-related stuff, like makeup tutorials.
I see. The game equivalent.
Okay. But usually it's like based like within a certain game, because games these days are so in-depth. So someone could have their platform with 1 million subscribers, but literally focus on one game and the details and intricacies of that one game.
Okay.
But PewDiePie, do you know what? That guy, he slipped up more than once saying the N-word, and from then it was sort of a write-off. But
is there space for a black game tuber?
There is 100%, and there is bigger guys, but or guys who are on his level. But I feel like he appeals to a market that is very how would I describe this?
Racist.
White. Racist.
Not even that. It's just
Definitely went for it.
it's just odd.
Do you know
it's
what it
very
is?
strange the way like people. What's the word to use here? I don't know the word I'm trying to look for. It's
Gravitate
like,
towards him.
yeah, like, I don't know why.
Because this thing, he's slipped up many times, and to the point where it's not even a slip up, it's the point where he's just being
It's been
abusive
going.
on his stream
Yeah,
channels or whatever
okay.
it is, and he's gained followers as opposed to losing them.
Yeah.
And he's gained endorsements, he's gained opportunities as opposed to losing them. And like, so what are, I guess, what's what I'm looking for? What are the repercussions of him doing that? Because if it was someone else, there'd be repercussions.
yeah.
But is it because he's got such a big following that no one is willing to take away from him the opportunities that they're giving him?
Do you know
as
what it
such?
is? Although, you know, you have people like PewDiePie, Ninja, these people who are big game YouTube figures, you know, again, they fit what the thing is, what it is the companies. The companies are pumping in money to these YouTubers because they're the ones that bring it back. And when they make the slip ups or when they make the mistakes of being racist and stuff like that, the companies are still going to be giving them money because the brands, the PewDiePies and the Ninjas, they're also giving the money back to the company. So, you know, you can cancel them because I know, in my heart, I know they're cancelled, but it's a thing on the bigger picture. It's the corporations that are putting the money into these figures to, you know, take the money back. And there's only so much we can do. We can build awareness. We can, you know, tell people, oh yeah, don't watch this guy's video anymore, blah, blah, blah. But when these companies are paying for ads, you know, when they're paying for them to go into their commercials and everything like that.
Money talks.
Money talks. It's a thing where it's an ongoing cycle.
What it is as well, I was going to say, just it's all about who the target audience is as well. Companies know that the audience who watch PewDiePie and Ninja, for example, Ninja is another like massive streamer. He doesn't do the YouTube thing so much, so he live streams. So he streamed his gaming content live, and all of his viewers, they're around 50. They're like teenagers, and teenagers when they're still sort of
Very
growing
ignorant,
as people. So when they see whoever do whatever they're doing, they might be like, okay, if he can say the N-word and get away with it, next time I'm in my gaming session, you effing N-word. I'm thinking, boy, what is going on here? And they're saying it so comfortably, like with their chest. I'm like, dude, like, where did you grow up? Like, how do you get off thinking that's okay to say, sort of thing?
So let me ask you guys, if we take cult classics like Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and all these things that many people love, how can you look at this and follow it and feel like some kind of affinity with it? Especially someone like me that I've never seen Game of Thrones. I've never seen Star Trek, Star Wars. I've never seen any of it. So you're laughing because it's bad, isn't it? But I've never seen any of these things. But
I've seen Star Trek as well.
How does there you go, you moved me there. So how does anybody, especially like me, watch it and feel like it's for me, or just it's a case of it's either for you or it's not?
I think a lot of people get caught up in the fantasy elements of these kind of shows. So things like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, they see space and, you know, Mordor and orcs and that sort of thing, and they get kind of lost in that. That's not for me. But when you look at it, it's more to do with character development, it's storytelling, it's world building. Especially with, like, say, with Star Wars, like, they've got so many movies coming out. If you start from the beginning type thing and you get into it, you can gain appreciation for it. I think a lot of people kind of get lost in the middle or the end, all these kind of things. So they feel like this not for them. They don't have time to catch up. It's not a race. Just kind of take your time to get into these kind of shows. Like Game of Thrones, I started Game of Thrones when it was in season 4. When season 1, gave up on it. When they were going to release season 8, I started again with season 1 to catch up. So I took the time to kind of get into the story, understand everything, understand what the hype was about as well. Because with Game of Thrones, yeah, the dragons and stuff, but it's still very much about the characters, their relationships, how they've grown over the years. And yeah, I think that's just, it's more to do with the characters in the world as opposed to the fantasy itself. Fantasy helps, but it's to do more with the storytelling, I guess, in the main thing.
I hear that. Talk to me about your audiences. Are the majority of your audiences on your platforms black, or is it more white, or is it balanced?
It's more black.
Everyone's individual. Well, okay, so
for me anyway, yeah.
you just, okay.
Sorry.
Well, my audience, it's predominantly black. A lot of males, which I'm very grateful for. And there's a lot of black women as well. There is, you know, people who are non-black. There is the white gamers and everything like that who are just they just love gaming. They don't really care about the race. They just love gaming. They're just not, they're not racist or anything like that. So I do kind of cross with different races and everything, but it's predominantly black males and females.
Okay.
And stuff,
And yourself, same?
Thing about it is where I'm still fairly new, and a lot of the stuff I do is promotion for other people. Like, it's literally people see my face sort of one time, and then they might see me again on somebody else's event, and they'll see me. But in general, I don't really have an audience apart from gamers. I don't care what you look like. I don't care, what you dress as, what you wear. It's just, I just want, if you like the same game that I like, and we can come together like that. That's all that matters. Because there's people I sort of like play games with online, who in real life it's like we would never really mesh together. But because we're united by this game and we speak online and we both appreciate the game, it's like we come together. So the race and target audience and stuff, it's just gamers for me.
I guess I was mainly just asking because I was wondering if you're all saying that there's a perception around black nerds. I was wondering, do other black nerds support your platform?
Oh yeah,
they do.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'd be nothing without them, guys.
I think they're our main fans, supporters, if you want to call them that. But I think for the majority the majority of the following we have are black nerds, men, women. There are other races and other people that are getting involved for whatever reason, but the majority of the engagement we get is from the black nerd community, mainly the British black nerd community, and that's still growing. People still trying to find each other, trying to find their way to kind of get in touch with other people to kind of discuss the things they want to discuss.
Through our brands, And I think that's really important, because if you create this kind of space for black people to just come together and just celebrate gaming, comics, anime, whatever kind of nerd related stuff, you see that they just connect with one another, and like it's predominantly them. Like they're amazing. They're really, really cool. And they're very supportive because they've seen that, wow, I can actually be somewhere. I can actually be a nerd, full-fledged, no judgment, no nothing. So
brilliant. And Stephanie, talk to me a bit more about women, because I'm wondering, are white women that much further ahead in terms of representation than black women? Or is it, if you're male and you're white, you've gone clear, or are white women, are they miles ahead of black women, closer to white men than they are to black women, in terms of representation?
It will be like the male white, then the white woman, then black men, black women. And even white women in the industry, they still have limited amounts of says, and it's only just, let's say, over the last maybe 10 years that more white women are getting into these, spaces of like management and, marketing and all those kind of things. And even with black women now, like we are actually getting into these spaces where you wouldn't think would fill the spaces in. So again, like marketing, management, and maybe diverse like officers, to see what's going on, maybe community managers and everything like that. So, but it is a hierarchy, and again, one of our goals is to try and like break that, just go in because you actually know your stuff, no matter what color you are and stuff.
Okay. How lucrative is being in this world? I know there's the ones that are at the top end that obviously got millions of followers and are making good money. But just for a general gamer, how lucrative is it for the average person on your platforms? Can you make a living off what you guys do?
Like there is the capacity to do so. It's still more about building yourself as a brand, building yourself as a content creator, staying in your own lane. And I don't mean that in the sense of, not bringing people in and such, or just, I guess it's more about trying to avoid what other people are doing and focus on what you're doing. There is a lucrative market for us to do what we're doing, especially in things like podcasting that we focus more on. There's a lucrative market for us. I think we're one of 3 only black nerd podcasts in the UK talking about the things we talk about. So it's just about starting and going, I guess.
There's a lot of money to be made, especially what you use your brand for. So with my brand, like I create events, tournaments. There's money to be made in tournaments. People enter. Content creating, which I do. Going and doing public speaking. Collaborating with brands. Doing advertisement for companies. Like there's so many ways and so many lanes you can go in, just depending on how passionate and how big you really want, your brand to go. So.
And final question to yourself. I'm just wondering, with so much money in this industry and such a big community, even within the black nerds within gaming and online, and being a nerd, is it this sort of thing now that you can go to your mum and say, Mum, as a career path, I want to do that, and get a positive reaction? Or is there still a thing around, it's just for people, it's a side thing?
Do you know what?
You can't make a job out of that.
My mum now knows because I've conditioned her to respect it.
Okay.
You know, because I put so much time and effort into gaming in general that, like, in the earlier stages, my mum was like, what are you doing in your room for so long and all that stuff? Go outside and go and play football, because I didn't really go outside and play football. I'd rather stay inside and farm levels on games and farm gun skins and stuff like that. Yeah, she's conditioned now to respect it. And I can say to her, listen, I'm trying to do this thing in games, and she respects it. Because I tell her every single day that gaming is the biggest industry in the world, and black parents, it's just money. Is there money? Yeah, you're good to go. And yeah, it's the biggest industry, entertainment industry in the world. So you can't ignore that. Yeah.
Guys, listen, thanks for coming on the show today. I've learned something about how big this industry, I suppose, is what it is, and the work that you guys do, and keep it up, especially with black women in particular, because I've never thought of black female nerds as well. So I'm sure there are out there. So keep doing the job that you guys are doing, because even if it's not something that I necessarily am a part of, I'm a proponent for making sure that if black people are liking this, do your thing, man. Do your thing. So cheers for coming on the show this week, guys.
We got to get you a PlayStation or something.
It's 1994. PlayStation. I ain't that bad.
Nintendo Switch or something. But yeah, cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers for coming on, man. Check out our platform on our website, blakademik.com. That's Blakademik with no C. We're across all the socials on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And subscribe here on our channel, Blakademik TV. Until next week, peace.